I was just 4 years old when I lost my parents. At 17, I lost my second set of parents because I refused to give them my child. When I woke up in a hospital bed, the first thing I saw was the pale white ceiling. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, and the sound of beeping machines surrounded me. I didn't understand what had happened. I was too young to comprehend death. A woman in a beige suit sat beside my bed and held my tiny hand. "Honey," she said gently, "your parents were in a terrible accident. They didn't make it." I remember staring at her, confused. Didn't make it where? I didn't understand that they were gone forever. I thought they would come back for me, but they never did. From that moment, my life became a blur of unfamiliar faces and temporary homes. I was shuffled between foster families, never staying long enough to feel like I truly belonged. Each new house had different rules, different expectations. Some were kind, some were indifferent, but none of them were home. Then, when I was 5, I met Lorraine and James. They were different. Lorraine had warm, kind eyes, and she hugged me the moment we met. James, tall and rigid, stood beside her with a firm nod. "We've always wanted a daughter," Lorraine told me, "and now we have you." For the first time in a long time, I felt wanted, but I was too young to understand that love, in their house, came with conditions. At first, life with Lorraine and James was peaceful. Lorraine cooked delicious meals and read me bedtime stories. James taught me how to ride a bike. I thought I had found my forever family. But as I grew older, the cracks began to show. James was a strict man. A military veteran, he believed in order and discipline above all else. If I was late for dinner, he scolded me. If I got a B on a test, he yelled. And if I ever made a mistake, no matter how small, he reminded me that I was lucky to be in his house at all. "If you don't work harder, I'll send you back to the orphanage," he would say. I believed him. Lorraine, on the other hand, was softer, but she was also weak. When James yelled, she stayed silent. When he hit me, she looked away, and when she thought no one was watching, she drank. I would see her finishing entire bottles of wine in the evenings, her eyes distant, lost in thoughts she never shared. By the time I was a teenager, I learned how to survive in that house, stay quiet, stay obedient, stay out of James's way. But no matter how careful I was, it was never enough. The only light in my life was Harry. We met in high school, and he was everything James wasn't: gentle, kind, patient. He would leave little notes in my locker, bring me my favorite flowers, and hold my hand like I was something precious. Never told James about Harry. I knew he wouldn't approve. When prom season came around, my friends were buzzing with excitement. I finally gathered the courage to ask James if I could go. "Absolutely not," he said, scoffing. "Prom is a waste of time. You should be studying." I begged him. I reminded him that I had straight A's, that I had never disobeyed him. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If you try to sneak out, don't bother coming back." So, on prom night, while my friends danced under glittering lights, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. That night, I realized something. Was never going to be free, not while I lived under his roof. A few months later, I missed my period. At first, I thought it was stress, but then the nausea started, the cravings, the exhaustion. Harry held my hand as I took the test. Positive. I collapsed onto the bathroom floor, sobbing. "James is going to kill me," I whispered. Harry was supportive. He promised that whatever I decided, he would stand by me. We decided to break the news together. When we told Lorraine and James, Lorraine's eyes filled with tears. James, on the other hand, turned red with rage. "You ungrateful little brat," he spat. "This is what happens when you take in a stranger's child. No discipline, no morals." I told him I wasn't planning on keeping the baby, that I would. Get an abortion. Then Lorraine spoke. You don't have to do that, she said softly. James and I can raise the baby. I froze. What? James nodded. It makes sense. Lorraine is pregnant too. The kids can grow up as siblings. We'll take care of everything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked at Lorraine, hoping she would say something, anything, to make this feel less insane. But she just smiled at me, hopeful. No, I said finally. I can't do that. James slammed his fist on the table. Then get out. I stared at him, heart pounding. Pack your things, he said coldly. You are no longer welcome in this house. Lorraine didn't even look at me. That night, Harry and his parents took me in. I had the procedure. I grieved. But I moved on. James and Lorraine never contacted me again. I built a new life. Harry and I got married. We bought a house. We never had children, but we had each other. Then, one day, I got a friend request on Facebook. His name was Matt. His last name looked familiar. When I clicked on his profile, my heart stopped. He looked like James. I accepted the request, and within minutes he sent me a message. Do you know James and Lorraine? My hands shook as I typed. Yes. They adopted me when I was 5. He called me immediately. His voice was hesitant. I've been looking for you, he said. I grew up seeing your photos in the family album, but whenever I asked, my parents refused to talk about you. I told him everything. He was silent for a long time. Then finally he said, I had no idea. The next day my phone exploded with messages. It was James. You had no right to tell Matt anything, he wrote. You are dead to us. I blocked him. Matt, on the other hand, confronted them. They denied everything, lied, called me a manipulative liar. But Matt didn't believe them. He told them he was cutting them off. Then he called me and said, I just wanted to thank you. I finally see them for who they are. Months passed. I visited Matt and his family. I met his adopted children. We laughed, shared stories. For the first time in my life, I had a sibling who truly cared. I had lost a family. But maybe, just maybe, I had found the right one. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.